Hey guys, Tyler from Krypton Report here, just giving you a quick brief update. I just wanted to say a couple things. First of all, we know we've been behind, but that's because, as we talked about in our earlier podcast, Janine and I have had some computer issues where the computer we had to have replaced and fixed. We've lost some of our casts, so we had to re-record things. Then we moved out in the country where we had to wait an exceptionally long time for our internet, so we're getting caught back up, having to re-record some things, so we appreciate your patience. But I also want to take a quick moment to talk to you guys about Amazon. That's right, Amazon.com, your favorite place to shop. If you're out there and you have an Amazon account and you buy things and you want to support Southgate Media Group's podcast, but you're always like, I don't have the money to donate. Well, guess what? SouthgateMedia.com. And there's a portal, and if you click on the portal, it'll take you to Amazon. From there, you can log into your Amazon account. And what that does for anything that you buy on Amazon, even if you are a Prime member, part of the proceeds will go to Southgate Media to help keep our podcast going. It's really simple. It doesn't cost you anymore. I do it. My wife does it. It helps keep us casting for you. So without further ado, back to the show.
All right, so this is brought to you, not really live, but this is recording in the car as Jeannie and I have just walked out of the theater from seeing Batman v Superman, The Dawn of Justice. Both of us have not spoken to each other about what we thought yet because we were saving it for the recording.
We are on our way home currently, both have a cup of coffee in our hands and trying to stay awake, so here we go.
All right, so we're going to take this. This will probably spoilers, but we'll say spoilers before we get there. Just non-spoiler first reactions, Jania. I'm going to say breathless. I mean, this felt like Snyder's best film. This felt like, a Zack Snyder movie.
It shocked and awed me.
Gripping.
It was gripping. It was very gripping. The entire time I was on the edge of my seat, and I was interested in everything that was going on. It's a pretty long movie, guys. 2 hours and 33 minutes, I believe is what they said.
Yeah.
And the entire 2 hours and 33 minutes, I was enthralled at every moment.
Everything was top notch.
It was beautiful.
The shots, just the feeling. The opening scene segment, for the most part, it could have been a little short film itself, but right there just sold me on everything with that movie.
Now, okay, one of the things that I absolutely loved about this movie, and that Man of Steel, I believe, hinted at, but it just took from the comics, guys, like hardcore. This wasn't your average classic Superman and Batman story, for sure. It was more. It was in depth. It was what we read. Us diehard comic book fans, what we read on a daily basis in our comics. It was heartfelt and just, emotional.
There's so much to process.
Yes.
First of all, this is our first one-time viewing. Jeannie and I will be returning Thursday night for our second viewing.
Yep.
And just wow. There's so much to process with this film. So just bear with us as we just try to go back through everything. It's now 1 a.m., so we're just kind of piecing it all together in our heads. But first of all, Affleck as Batman was amazing.
I was surprised. I was not a Batfleck fan. To begin with, I did not want Ben Affleck to be Batman. I actually wanted, what was the name, Tyler Hoechlin or however you say that. I wanted him to be Batman. He was my ideal. But I would never have thought of Ben Affleck in my entire life. But he surprised me.
After the fact, once they stated what their idea for Batman was, I understood it and I was okay with it.
Yeah,
I've always been an Affleck fan.
I was afraid that Ben Affleck was too big of a name. You know what I mean? Like, you had Henry Cavill, who really wasn't huge. He wasn't, like, super well-known. Super there. He wasn't super well-known at the time that he was cast for Superman. But Ben Affleck, everyone knows who Ben Affleck is. Ben Affleck has been everywhere. Ben Affleck has, written, produced, directed. I mean, he has done everything in the biz. And here we have, this
iconic actor.
Yeah, this iconic actor going into an iconic role, which could go one of two ways. Like, he could totally be boss at it and do an amazing job. Or he could just be Ben Affleck,
Yeah.
But in this, he showed me that he was an actor. Like, he is an actor. He is, the epitome of what a good actor should be.
So, we're going to kind of...
I'm hyped up, guys.
The casting on everybody was great. The other big casting we'll just talk about before we jump into our whole spoiler part, Eisenberg. Amazing.
I did not know what I was going to think of him, but he is... The character of Lex Luthor in this is different than some interpretations that I have seen. So, for the interpretation that we saw up on the screen tonight, he rocked it.
I mean, like you and I have talked before, we haven't got a more modern Lex in a long time. Kevin Spacey's Lex was a version of Gene Hackman's Lex, which was a different character in the comics at the time of the film. And then Michael Rosenbaum's Lex was a special catered Lex character. This had the genius, scientist, businessman, modern era all over it, and I loved it. I thought it was great. I mean, it's crazy, it's weird, but it works.
Well, see, I was initially scared of how young Eisenberg is. Like, I didn't want him...
He's in his 30s.
Well, okay, but you put him up against Batman, and you put him up against Superman. He looks like a kid. He does.
Yes.
He looks like a kid. I mean, no offense, Jesse Eisenberg. I love you, but...
I know he's listened to the cast.
I know, right? Takes time out of his day to listen to our podcast. But yeah, like, I thought he looked like a kid, to be honest with you. So I was afraid that there was this age gap that would make it kind of awkward, But, my fear was completely null and void.
So that's our quick if you're not sure if you want to see it, just go see it. We're going to get into spoiler stuff now and talk about it. But
I think that this movie is going to have a love-hate relationship, by the way. I think that some people are really going to love it, and some people are really going to hate it.
yeah,
And the reason why I say that is because it takes away from the classic view that we have on Superman, especially,
to a point, but if you've read the books, I mean, they pulled from some popular titles, story elements, but my thing is...
But I'm talking about the general public. I'm talking about the people who don't read comics, the people that know Superman from, like what we talked about before in our earlier podcast before the movie, the people that know Superman from Christopher Reeve.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, they're going to look at this and they're going to be like, well, Christopher Reeve was my childhood. This is completely off the wall different, and I don't like this at all. That's what I mean by the love-hate relationship.
This is a much better film than Man of Steel.
Mm-hmm.
So...
If you didn't like Man of Steel, give this a chance. Just give it a chance.
So, alright, now we are jumping over into spoiler territory. We're going to pause for a moment of silence and then begin. Moment's over. So here we go. We're going to start. The opening, oh my gosh, just Bruce Wayne telling and talking to narrating, and just the gosh, the opening scene of just the Wayne murders, like right off the bat.
Wow.
It was a perfect way to show us what happened to establish that in the character without having to go into a whole origin of Batman.
It was beautifully done. I mean, the lack of sound, the lack of dialogue, it was... You didn't need it. You didn't need the dialogue. You didn't need the sound. You didn't need the sound of him screaming. You
just had that imagery.
Yeah, and the imagery was so powerful. And it was a lot of the reason in my mind was because of the way it was directed, the way that things were put in there. Like, one of my favorite shots in that whole segment right there was when the guy had the gun and he had it up underneath of the pearls, and just the way that he started tilting the gun so it was being pointed at Martha's head, and it was just so powerful. So it was just nuts to see it like that, from that perspective. You knew what was going to happen without necessarily seeing it exactly happen, if that makes sense. The way that he directed that shot, it was beautiful.
And they followed that up with Bruce Wayne arriving in Metropolis during the Black Zero's attack, and you just see Bruce just jump in the car and drive into the city.
Yes.
He doesn't halter. He goes into it. He calls the Wayne building. And, I think in a lot of ways this movie was a hard sell on why Bruce is the way he is, but man, you understand his character.
That opening scene, you get it.
You get why he's mad, and I mean, you get just the compassion in the guy. I mean, just that whole scene where he saves that girl, or he helps that, I mean, he's just doing everything. You can tell he cares for his employees. He's going for everything. And just, I mean, it's gripping, you're just seeing the perspective. And like I said before, like with Man of Steel, when they're on the Battle of Metropolis, and they're like, he saved us. I'm like, he did. But at the same time, like, I don't know. In my mind, there's always that root, that guilt that hangs over Superman because the Kryptonian Zod came to Earth because of him. And attacked Earth because of him. It was in a way his fault for bringing them there. And you just feel that weight he carries.
Yeah.
And one thing with this is, it is a Batman Superman film. And I'd have to watch, when we watch it again, really look at it. But at times I feel like there was more Batman in it than there was Superman.
Mm-hmm. But there needed to be, because you had to develop that character. Like, yes, we know who Batman is, okay? But we had to see it from the Ben Affleck Batman perspective, the Zack Snyder Batman perspective. We couldn't see it from, like, just our knowledge of Batman. It needed to be more in depth.
This Batman does not have a problem with jacking up thugs. He don't care if there's some broken bones, maybe some knife wounds.
I don't know if anybody out there plays any of the Arkham games, but a lot of his moves and everything reminded me of like the really awesome moves that you do while playing the Arkham games. It was really, really cool. I don't know. It was dope, guys. The fight scenes were fantastic.
Amazing. So we get that, and we get, man, there's just a turn of events that I was just like, holy crap, I saw something coming, but what happened was not what I thought was coming.
Yeah.
And we are in spoiler territory, so why am I hinting around?
Well, I mean, try and stay in sequence here a little bit.
Oh, I know.
We're excited.
I'm trying to piece everything back through my head of the way everything panned out, but we get the senator, and you think she's going to be in it for a while, but she's really not in it that long.
Yep. She's not at all. I mean, in the previews and everything, they make her out to be this important character, but, in the actual movie, she's... Not that she's not important, mind you, but she's just not in it as long as you expect her to be.
One thing, I'm really interested, because I know the director's cut's 3 hours.
Yeah.
And there are little things in it where I feel like they jump.
Holes.
Yeah, that they jump. Not like we need, but there's that scene in Africa where they set it up and they blame it on Superman. But exactly, like, they kill people with bullets. Like, how are they blaming that on Like, kind of what are they blaming on him? Why is it his fault they were shot? You know?
Yeah.
Like, it just kind of was muddled. And I guess that cameraman was supposed to be Jimmy Olsen, but they say CIA, so I don't know exactly what was going on there.
Yeah.
His name, he was listed in the credits as Jimmy Olsen, but they never show or say anything. Lombard was not in this movie. He didn't make it back. I got a weird vibe from Perry.
Okay.
I was very indifferent about Perry in this movie.
Okay.
You know, they're talking about news and they're giving Clark this sports and all this, but don't you think that Batman is news?
I mean, yeah, Batman is news. Batman's big news, but I think, too, Perry's kind of maybe trying not to step on the toes of Batman too much. You know, he's trying to not dig up things that don't need to be dug up. I guess that's the way that I look at it. You gotta pick and choose your battles, basically, especially if you're a reporter.
It's true. Working through it here. I like how sideways Clark figured out that Bruce was Batman, using his super hearing while...
Oh my god, I love that. I love that, because you don't expect it to happen necessarily like that, but out of nowhere, like, he just kind of zones in and hears Alfred's voice, you know, speaking to Bruce's ear. It was just really, really cool how that happened. And then, you know, of course, Diana showing up and being there in that scene was pretty neat.
Let's kind of look at it from this point of view. I think, you know, we can't talk about the whole movie, but just characterization. Amy Adams' Lois Lane was much better in this film.
Yes. I think this film gave time for us to, like, actually see them together, to see the character, to see the characters, like, working together and everything like that. I think that in Man of Steel, I didn't really like her very much, and I didn't understand why they fell in love like they did. There was no explanation of, like, oh, they just saw each other and fell in love. I guess that's the way that I saw it when I watched Man of Steel. I wanted more. Like, yes. Why are you in love with her? Why is she special? You know? And
I felt they really just did well together. A lot of their scenes were really cute, as well as emotionally powerful. It was kind of awkward, her in the bathtub scene, though. Mm-hmm. I was like, it's a little long.
I'm a huge fan of that.
A little long there, Snyder. But,
Snyder is an Amy Adams fan.
I guess so. But it was cute him hopping in the tub with her.
Yes.
But it was the build up to that was just kind of odd. And some of the way things were shot. I'm like, But I liked her in this. Henry Cavill he continues to do a great job as Superman and making the character his own. I want to give him a hug. I just feel like his Superman sometimes might just need a hug.
I agree completely. What I've always told Tyler how I feel about Henry Cavill's Superman, there's something about this man's face. Yeah, women out there, not only is he pretty, but there's something about his face, as in the way that he looks at you. There's this intensity, but his eyes carry so much kindness, and just there's a depth to him. There's a sadness behind his eyes, and he plays that so beautifully as Clark and as Superman. You sympathize with him, like, right off the bat, because of his face, because of the way he looks at the camera. It's I don't know, sometimes it just takes my breath away, the intensity that he has behind his expressions. And it really fuels the character for me when I'm watching it.
You know, I agree with you. Like, he does a great job of making the character his own, to where you see the compassion in him, and just, I am bummed that we did not get the shirt rip. We got a shot of him grabbing his tie and ducking out, but no shirt rip. And as much as they went for iconic shots and just feel of the characters, I was a little sad about that.
Now, there were so many shots in this film that I absolutely loved, but I want to skip ahead a little bit here. I know this might be a little too far ahead, but one of my all-time favorite shots in the entire movie was at the end, when Doomsday shows up and Superman is fighting Doomsday alongside of Wonder Woman and Batman, and they what is that called? They do the laser eyes at each other, basically. Heat vision. Oh my gosh, guys. I am a Superman fan here, okay? But it is 1 o'clock in the morning. Heat vision. When they, do the heat vision towards one another, oh my gosh, the shot was just killer. And Superman's hovering above ground, and it's just so intense. I loved it. I thought that was a really neat shot.
I mean, we'll get to that fight, but...
I know, but I just had to say that was one of my
Jeremy Irons' Alfred was very well done.
It was believable.
It was a perfect combination of classic Alfred with a new way, so that Alfred wasn't too old.
Yeah. I was afraid of Jeremy Irons as well. Like, I love Jeremy Irons, but once again, Jeremy Irons is one of those characters, or one of those actors that is Jeremy Irons and everything that he does.
You just thought you were going to hear Scar?
Basically.
Yeah.
But once again, you get this really neat character. I think that this was very well casted, and I was impressed with his performance as well.
No leads in this one about the Robin, like what Robin was it that died or anything. Mm-hmm. So intriguing.
You got a beautiful shot of the suit and everything.
No story about why Wayne Manor is burnt and decrepit.
No.
So that's really interesting. So that would make it really good for the Batman solo film.
I would say they definitely left a lot of things open for us to be able to find out later.
They gave us enough of what we needed to move forward and to accept the story.
And there was a lot in this film. There was a lot.
Oh, yeah, there is a lot, but it works.
Yeah. I was afraid of there being way too much and then it just being too cluttered and clouded, basically.
And they were forcing stuff and all. I mean, I don't feel like anything was forced. I feel like some things were cut short, like there was maybe more to the scene or more setup, but I don't feel like it was forced.
Yeah.
We'll talk. All right, last main character we haven't touched on, Wonder Woman.
All right.
Definitely less is more character in this.
I have had a problem with the casting from day one. And I was very harsh on her. I was among the haters of Gal Gadot, or however you want to say it. Gadot.
That's what I hear. So.
And not that I dislike her as a person or anything like that, or as an actor. I just disliked her for this role. I was among the fan of the idea of Gina Carano being Wonder Woman. Still think she would be a really wonderful Wonder Woman one day. But Gal Gadot did a pretty good I was surprised.
I said, I'm more excited. I'm more excited for Wonder Woman now because I want to see how she does when she's like the main focus.
Yeah.
So they said she was very less is more. She had very little dialogue. The scenes where she does stuff is awesome.
But her presence was pretty strong.
Yes, it was.
Towards the end when they had the fight scene and everything, when she came and she showed up in full costume, I was kind of shocked and surprised at how strong her presence was in that scene, and it was very good. I mean, I loved the costuming. I really did. It went classic Wonder Woman with a twist. I loved it a lot. One of the things that I did notice is in the fight scenes, they used some CG to make her look a little bigger. I don't know if you noticed that. But there are a couple shots. They happen pretty quick. But she, comes towards Doomsday. And she, when she's drawing her sword, she's, jumping towards him. But the way that they use the CG, it makes her look wider. Especially in the shoulders, is what I noticed. And she's a very petite woman as far as her frame. She's tall, but she's you know what I mean. She's got that small frame.
Also, there's a shot, that picture of her that actually takes place in what will be the first Wonder Woman film. She looks bigger in it because she's been continually, trying to bulk up and everything as this process is going since they just started filming Wonder Woman. And I wonder when she was done with her scenes for this.
Yeah.
So she's bigger now, so, she looks bigger in that picture with my man Chris Pine.
Yeah, Chris Pine. Woo-hoo!
So I liked her. Like I said, I'm really curious as where they're going to go with Wonder, the movie, how she'll be.
I didn't love her, but I liked her.
Her interaction with Bruce was great. I wonder if they're going to go with that love interest,
I
much
really,
like the
really,
Justice
really
League.
hope so.
I will say this: I feel like in a lot of ways, this film Superman got shortchanged, but there's a lot to do in this movie.
I get what you're saying from a Superman fan perspective, but in my opinion, it had everything that I needed. It was peppered with so much of everything. I think if you would have put any more Superman in it, it would have been too much. And the reason why I say that is because we've already had the Man of Steel film.
True.
And we've already been pounded in the head with, his backstory. One of the scenes that I really loved was when Clark was it that dream that he had when he was on top of the mountain and he saw his father. Yeah.
It made me wonder if it was a dream or if it was him remembering a story his father had told him at one time.
Yeah.
It was very interesting the way it was done.
It was very interesting the way it was done. It was,
And you know what's interesting too? Nice hit. We didn't get a whole lot of. We didn't really get to experience much of really Clark Kent, but in a couple small scenes of the way the world views Clark Kent.
Yeah.
We saw Clark with Lois, and then a couple shots of him in the office and the one time at the dinner party. But other than that, that was really it for Daily Planet reporter.
Mm-hmm. So, do you want to talk about the big things, Tyler?
Well, we're about to, but I want to say, really cool way that they showed Cyborg. Really cool, but really creepy at the same time. The little video that Wonder Woman watched.
Oh yeah, that was kind of creepy.
Great intro of my man Momoa as Aquaman. So pumped for Aquaman.
Yes, he looked awesome.
I'd hoped that maybe we'd actually see him in action instead of just in the video, but it was still cool.
But I feel like we would have seen him in action in this. It might have been too much.
I was hoping a post-credit scene or something, but that's just me. And then I'm still very, very indifferent about Flash. His video, I was just like,
Yeah.
I'm really, it's not that I'm like, hey, Grant Gustin's the man, it should be him.
Well, I'm not sure if this guy should be Flash.
It's just one of those things that I understand a different Flash. Okay, cool with that, but I'm just like, I haven't bought into him as Flash yet, so I'm not sure about his cameo. Now, which segues to his other cameo. The Nightmare Batman scene was so weird.
It was.
When he's just sitting there and his mind, it's like his mind just goes. And it's just there, this scene. And it's like the Flash is trying to talk to him, came back through time or something, is trying to give him a message. And I know that's going to play out with Justice League. Darkseid is coming. we have the symbol. Those were straight up parademons. Like they put, if you watch the trailer as much as I have, there are more parademons they added to that one scene that it's not even in the regular trailer.
Yeah.
And then of course Lex says some things about darkness, stars, God, heat coming. So it makes me wonder: does he know something, or is he just yelling?
No, Lex Luthor always has something behind what he's saying.
So that was interesting. But it just felt really odd the why he was having that vision.
Yeah.
Maybe we're going to explain more. Maybe it was a cut scene or something, some dialogue. But that's the one thing I think that really just felt awkward to me. The way that it starts and ends. It's like a double dream, like a little Inception there or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm really more interested a lot with this is knowing more of Batman's story, where he's at, where the rest of his cast of characters are. But let's jump to some of the big stuff.
So, real quick, for those of you who really wanted to have that fight between Batman and Superman, you've got it. It's there. It was something.
It was quick, a lot quicker than I thought it was going to be.
But it's there, and it's, like, powerful. And at one point in time, I'm sitting there, like, feeling bad for Batman in 1 second, and then the next second, I'm like, holy crap, he's about to kill Superman, you know?
Just, I like the way they introduced Kryptonite, that it came from the World Engine.
Yes.
That was cool, that made sense.
It wasn't just, like, a meteor that slammed to Earth, yeah.
And there wasn't much of it at all.
Yeah.
You know, and then Batman weaponizes it. I mean, Lex pushes Batman over the edge to fight Superman. And then the idea that Lex basically makes Superman fight Batman because he kidnaps his mom. And those pictures of Martha tied up, I was like, oh my gosh. Like, Lex is evil.
Lex is evil. Another reason why I absolutely love this interpretation of Lex Luthor is because they took him to a very psychotic state. I mean, not overly done to the point where, like, a normal person talking to him would think that he's absolutely nuts, but, I mean, he shows it sometimes, and it is just, it's creepy.
It's something. I mean, it's...
Yeah.
And so, you know, and then right off the bat, Superman tries to talk to Batman.
He does.
You know, he's sitting there like, I need his help. He tells Lois, he's like, and he goes, and he tries to talk to him, and Batman just lashes out against him.
There's so much anger built up inside of him. You know, we already know this about Bruce. We know that because of his parents' death, he has a lot of anger and frustration built up inside of him that he takes out. You know, but he has that towards Superman because of the people that were killed in the process of Superman trying to save the world. You know, and the people that he cared about that were killed.
Exactly, and that plays out in the fight scene. There's so many good. I mean, he weaponizes the kryptonite, like the kryptonite grenades, like I kind of thought.
Yeah.
You know, and that,
which was really cool.
So it's Clark's first time ever really being weak, exposed to kryptonite, and just freaking out. So of course Batman's gonna win. You know, like he has a complete advantage. It's not even a fair fight anymore.
Now, one of the things that I didn't understand completely, and I kind of would like a little bit more explanation on personally, is 1 second Batman throws a grenade, a kryptonite grenade at Superman, and Superman like just goes down, okay? And he is like out of it, and he's like basically on normal man level at that point. You know, he's like an average guy, and he's fighting Batman. Well, not average, extremely buff average guy. But then out of nowhere, he kind of regains his power. And we all know that Superman's power comes from the sun. So how does he regain his power within that short period of time? I guess that's my thought process.
I looked at it like the kryptonite, like it was a gas. You know, it just burned through his system.
Okay, yeah, I could see that.
You know, he's fighting and like it's all new, so maybe it wasn't a high enough dose or something. Like he recovered quickly, and then Batman shoots him again, and they just keep fighting. And basically Batman gets him because he hits him with that second kryptonite, and he goes down, and then he's got him. And then, oh my gosh, Clark's basically ready to die, and he just says, "Save Martha." And then it flashes back to Bruce with his mom, Martha, and he's yelling, why that name? Why that name? And, Superman's just can't breathe. It's about to be stabbed by a spear of kryptonite.
I did think it was kind of crazy how quickly Batman changed from, I hate you to you're my friend.
I think he finally saw it, who Superman really was in that moment, and just, like I said, there might be something more that wasn't there, but realizing that Lex helped manipulate things to get them to fight, to get them there. And Lois is there, and she's like, yes, that's his mom. And Batman just saw. I think he saw it because I love that Batman goes and saves Martha.
Yes.
And that scene was amazing. It was so everybody.
Cool. I liked it so much better than the idea of Superman going to go save Martha.
And I love when he comes in and is like, I'm a friend of your son, just kind of figured the cape.
The cape. Yeah.
He's just I love that fight scene because he gets hit, he gets stabbed, he keeps going. And I love the way he just slams people down, hits them with the batarangs. They hit him with the knives in his cowl, and you see the sparks on his cowl before they try to hit him in the head, stab him.
That's another thing. I was a huge fan of the Batsuit. The only thing that I didn't like, and something that you and I have talked about several times too, we are not a huge fan of the small ears on the Batsuit.
Yeah, because
it's kind of reminiscent to me of a cat. So.
Yeah, certain shots I'm like, ah!
Yeah, but other shots it's not so bad. It didn't completely overwhelm me in this and make me hate it. But I actually liked the Batsuit a lot.
Oh,
I thought it was very cool. I liked how it wasn't completely solid. It wasn't a Clooney Batsuit, that's for sure.
It was once again. It was just it stepped out from Nolan's Batsuits were great. They're still that solid black.
Yeah.
And this stepped out from that and gave us something different with the gray and the black, which I loved. Now, I thought the introduction to Kryptonite was cool. Just that one scene where Luthor's explaining it. And I'm still not clear how they're playing his character because he mentions his father. Is he supposed to be a Lex Luthor Jr. or is he Lex Luthor? What exactly? Because they reference his father multiple times. Are they doing, who's his father? Is his father Lex Luthor the first or something?
Yeah.
So I'm curious about that. But his speech when he explains the kryptonite and what his point is for it was awesome. And then cutting off Zod's fingertips so you could have access to the Genesis chamber in the ship.
So creepy.
So creepy, but smart.
It's very, very smart, but yeah.
It was a little convoluted about when he cut his hand and put on Zod's body and everything, and then it activated the Dooms, just that whole thing of what the manipulation, what he did to make Zod Doomsday.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things because he's talking with the computer and he says, teach me or tell me, so we understand where he gets the knowledge, but it was just kind of, all right, what exactly did you do to make Zod into Doomsday? And I love how big Doomsday was.
Yes. I love the evolving of Doomsday.
Which is perfect on par with the comics. It's supposed to be, I love that Superman took him into space.
Oh my gosh, can we talk about the regeneration of Superman when he's in space after the bomb and everything?
And that's straight out of The Dark Knight Returns to a point because he absorbed all the nuclear radiation, so it made him frail and weak. And you gotta think, when he first started fighting Doomsday, he still didn't have all the kryptonite out of his system. He still was struggling with that.
That was a favorite of mine.
His face still had the scar on it. So, had he not been weak, maybe he could have thrown Doomsday out into space more.
Yeah.
But I always said, if Superman fought Doomsday, he should just take him up into space.
Yes.
And then just, man, like, Wonder Woman fighting Doomsday was awesome. Batman doing his little bit of things was awesome. Shooting, the kryptonite grenade. Oh, but
So let's wrap this up because
we're close to home.
we're close to home, but we're also close to the ending here.
I did not think they would go all the way Death of Superman.
I didn't either.
That's part of why I think it was like, I felt like he was shortchanged. Like, he's just getting going. But in a thing, he feels almost worthless. It's like, because he does all this stuff and he's watching how the world talks to him and talks about him and treats him.
But this is how Superman is going to rise. It's like the Dark Knight Rises all over again,
They went there, like, he got stabbed, and, like, they try to start to allude to his, resurrection, which I'm curious how they're going to do it.
I cried. I'm not even going to lie.
Oh my gosh, I was
totally
emotional. Like, he gets stabbed, and he gets the spear, and he's flying with the spear. The kryptonite's weakening him as he's going towards Doomsday, so he's already weak. And then he stabs Doomsday with the kryptonite,
And Doomsday stabs him.
And Doomsday stabs him. And I'm just like, holy crap, you have Batman and Wonder Woman. And it really changes Bruce because he knows that part of it's his fault to blame. And like him and Wonder Woman talking about, finding the other metahumans, finding the people like her. Basically, we need to stick together. We need to do something.
No, what did he say there at the end? He said, I didn't honor him in life, but I will in death, or something like that.
Basically, I let him down in life, and I will honor him in death.
Yes. And I thought that was dope. So
I love when
go ahead.
When he just says, I love you, the way he says it to Lois, and then just takes off flying to kill Doomsday.
Because it's realistic.
And the fact, like, when Lois is at the farm, you find out that Clark was going to propose to her, and she puts the ring on.
Okay.
And keeps it on. She's at his funeral, and she's holding the ring.
Yes. I love the idea, the concept of Batman is going to be the glue that brings everyone together.
Yes.
Which is awesome. Because Batman, as we all know, is
not superpowered.
Right, not superpowered, but he's more so the loner. He's the one that's less likely to do that. But because of Superman, because of how he feels about Superman, like he's honoring him in this way to bring everyone together.
So I'm I'm glad we don't have to wait a year for Justice League.
Yeah.
Because I would not want to wait 2 or 3 years. I'm like, bring it on.
I'm already itching, guys.
I know that.
I'm already itching.
The last thing I'm saying, I'm not sure completely how I feel about the score. Because I've listened to the score on its own, and it's odd in parts. There's some music I really like. I'm not sure exactly what the Batman theme per se was in this. Because there's a lot of similar sounds around Batman. I'd have to watch it again. I mean, I like some of the music, but you said there was one part you wanted to point out.
Oh, yes. Okay, so it was when Batman, Wonder Woman, and Superman are fighting Doomsday. There's like this obvious undertone of Hans Zimmer completely. It's just dun, 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 like this very drumming constant that he has going on underneath it there. But maybe it's, the Junkie XL aspect of it. There's this lighter overtone, and I can't remember exactly how it goes right now, but there's this lighter overtone during that fight scene that's almost cheesy to me.
Is it the Wonder Woman motif? The down, 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 down? I can't even do it, it's too late.
Yeah, it might be that.
Like a guitar, like a wow, wow.
Yeah, it's too tinny. It's too bright right there.
Could be.
And I am not a fan of that sound. It just doesn't work for the scene, in my opinion. It doesn't work for the scene.
Well, that's our thoughts for now. We're home. Please tweet us, email us, Facebook us at Krypton Report. Let us know what your thoughts are, and then we'll touch base back again after we see it a second time. And
that way we can better, explain.
Absorb everything.
Yes.
But remember, look up in the sky.